Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gary Baumgarten, but I believe you probably already know that. And I welcome you to our latest discussion on Facebook, on paltalk.com, and on YouTube. Well, as you probably know, today we are supposed to have AutoSlash CEO Jonathan Weinberg on how to easily buy a car during the partial lockdown. Because in many states, you cannot buy a car. And in other states, you can visit a dealership, but only under very limited time constraints. And because AutoSlash is a company that it's a website actually that he runs that's dedicated to saving money, saving people money on car rentals, we thought it might be interesting to talk to Jonathan about how you can actually purchase cars that are generally in pretty darn good condition used from car rental companies. And he's supposed to join us to talk about the positives and the negatives of going that route. And I'm so hopeful he'll show up, but so far he hasn't. And here he comes now, actually. So that's really great. Let me bring him up now, and let's see whether we can actually hear him. I think we can. Jonathan Weinberg, welcome to our chat on Facebook, on paltalk.com, and on YouTube.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you very much. I happen to be a user, and that's how I know about what we're going to be talking about today of AutoSlash. But probably most of my listeners and viewers are not. Could you give us just a little background of what AutoSlash is really all about?
Sure. AutoSlash is a website that helps you get the best possible deal on a car rental. And the concept behind AutoSlash is pretty simple. There's two ways to get the price down. The first way is to apply coupons and discount codes to your car rental. So the rental car companies, they publish discount codes on their websites. They offer discounts to members of various groups like AAA, Costco members, AARP, USAA. And then they also have coupon codes. For example, get $20 off a weekend rental or $30 off a weekly rental. And you can generally pair those discount codes and those coupon codes together. But the problem with it is that there are just so many of them, it's hard to know which ones will get you the best possible deal. So what AutoSlash does is you come to our site, you tell us about your car rental, and we'll basically run the numbers for you, and we'll find the best possible deal for each company. But the issue is that just because you get the best price today doesn't mean that that'll be the best price tomorrow or next week or the day before you pick up the car. So what we do is we also offer a free tracking function that lets you plug in your rental, and we keep rechecking the rate every single day. And if we find a better deal, we email you, and then you can just rebook, and you can basically save money. And many of our customers will rebook 3, 4, 5, even 7 times. And by the time they pick up the car, they've saved anywhere from 20 to 50% on the rental. So it's a great way to save without having to spend a lot of time, doing your own legwork, essentially.
When I first started using AutoSlash, a friend of mine recommended it to me. I already am a Costco member, and I found that Costco is really the cheapest, the best discount that I can find. And I said, well, what do I need AutoSlash for? But apparently, from what you just explained, and my understanding even before this, you roll in other discounts over on top of what Costco could get me, so we combine the two.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't realize also that Costco only works with certain rental car companies. They work with Enterprise, Avis, and Budget, and Alamo, but they don't work with Hertz. They don't work with Dollar, Thrifty, National. So it's great if one of those companies that Costco works with happens to have the best deal, but you may have a killer deal with Hertz or one of the other companies, and you wouldn't even know about it by searching Costco's site. So it's important to get a full picture of where the deals are.
So Jonathan Weinberg at AutoSlash, the reason I actually brought you in here, and I'm glad I was able to give you the opportunity to talk about your company, is about reasons you can and ways you can buy used rental cars at a time where on a state-by-state basis it's different. In some states, auto dealerships are open only limited hours. In other states, including Michigan, which is the auto capital of the world, you cannot buy a car. It's impossible. But actually, it's a real problem. So if my car is giving up the ghost and I don't want to spend money on a new car, and God knows how long I'm going to have to wait before I can buy a new car. And by the way, the auto manufacturers aren't making new cars, so all I have available to me is what's on the lot. I can't order a car. Perhaps a rental car is a way to go. One of the things that you mentioned as a positive is that there's a price, it's set, that's it. You don't have to deal with some, the stereotypical used car salesman who you have to haggle with to get the price that you really should be getting.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there are really two ways. There are two possibilities there. One is to basically rent a car in lieu of buying a car. Basically, the rates right now are extremely low. The rental car companies are just inundated with various vehicles, and they're having trouble finding places to park them all. There's been various stories in the media about how there are massive glut of rental cars that are like clogging up various overflow lots and that sort of thing. So the rental car companies have dropped the rate significantly. You can get a killer deal on a monthly rental. We've seen rates as low as $300, including taxes and fees on a rental. So renting is a possible deal in lieu of buying. In many cases, your credit card will basically cover you for the insurance. So that's yet another expense that you don't have to cover. So where else are you going to be able to you can't make a lease payment for under $250 or so with the insurance included, and this way you can basically just walk away from the deal and go rent somewhere else or keep looking for a better deal later on. So you really don't have to have any skin in the game. So that's what we would recommend up front. But the other side of it is that the rental car companies, because they have such a huge amount of cars, they're looking to unload them, and in many cases at a sweetheart deal. I myself actually purchased a used rental car from my daughter's when she got our driver's license. It was a Ford Fiesta. I paid significantly below Kelley Blue Book value on the car, and on top of that, as a AAA member, I was able to get an additional $500 off the vehicle, and I think they had like another promotion at the time. So it ended up being like almost $2,000 below Blue Book on the car. They had a great deal, which was a complete money back guarantee within 90 days. They covered the drivetrain of the car for like 70,000 miles or 7 years. So it was almost a no-lose proposition, and the car was in great shape. I saw a few different models from Hertz before I selected one. Not all of them are in great shape, but if you do your legwork and you bring it by your mechanic and you just do your homework, you can really get a fantastic deal. And all the rental car companies, Enterprise, Avis Budget, Hertz, they're all suffering with a massive glut of cars right now, and they all have programs where they sell their rentals through their websites. And in many cases, you can even get them delivered to you, and you can basically have a trial period of up to a week, and then you can return them if you're not happy with them. So it's definitely something to consider.
So if you have the car for a week and you have plenty of opportunity to bring it to your mechanic and have him or her take a look at it, and then you know whether or not it's really a good deal. And these cars tend to be younger cars, maybe only 1 or 2 years of age before they flip them over and bring in new cars into their fleet. So that's the positive. The negative is, of course, not everybody drives like you or I. Some people might say, well, it's not my car, so I'm going to drive it like a maniac. And perhaps they do. So it's always good, I would imagine, to have that car checked out.
Yeah, I mean, and by that token, you probably wouldn't want to get a Dodge Charger RT or a Camaro SS, from Hertz, because probably the person who is going to rent that type of car is probably going to abuse it a little bit. But then again, going and renting an Altima or something like that, or an Impala, you probably not have as much problem in that area. I mean, most of those folks tend to drive, pretty conservatively. So
yes, exactly. If you buy a muscle car, perhaps it was given an extra push out there on the highway. AutoSlash CEO Jonathan,
do that once or twice. So
AutoSlash CEO Jonathan Weinberg is the guest. I want to say hi to some of the people in the Facebook audience. Irene Rada, who's joining us from Thailand, Cleo, who's joining us from the Philippines, Kim Lifton, who's joining us from the Motor City, and former Congressman and current congressional correspondent Bob Ney joining us from Ohio. Thank you all for being here. So there are some companies that have a very robust resale program. I think there are 3 rental companies who do that.
Yeah, Enterprise resells cars from their 3 brands, Enterprise, National, and Alamo. Hertz resells cars from their 3 brands, which is Hertz, Dollar, and Thrifty. And then Avis and Budget and Payless through their Avis car sales website.
Yeah. So it's a possibility. I unfortunately had a couple of cars that my son had that were totaled. No fault of his own. I just want to add to those who are listening and watching. And so at the time, I think currently his car still is a Geico vehicle, and they have a deal with Enterprise, at least here where I live. You take the car in, and the shop looks at it to see whether they can repair it or not, and you rent an Enterprise. And every time we've rented the Enterprise, when they totaled out the car the 2 times, they said, "Hey, we'll help you on this. We'll give you a car right now. You won't have to do any shopping for another car." And maybe I should have done that.
It's one option. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that the rental business itself, it's not just about making money off renting cars. It's that they move a tremendous amount of vehicles through the car industry, both through auctions and through their own websites, and they can make a lot more money if they're selling those cars direct than selling them at auction. And at auction the prices are significantly below Blue Book value. That's the wholesale rate. So, and most folks aren't able to, or it's just too difficult for them to purchase at auction. So it's a way of sort of doing that arbitrage between what the Blue Book value is and what the auction rate is, because the car rental company would rather sell it to a private individual and make a little bit more money out of it. But at the end of every season, they've got a tremendous amount of vehicles to move off their lots. And now all the more so because, they don't expect demand to bounce back that soon. And they were all gearing up. They were taking delivery of essentially brand new vehicles, expecting that they were going to run them through the summer period. And now, summer travel period in most areas is pretty much gone. So they're going to have to unload anywhere from, 40 to 70% of their fleets. And that's a lot of vehicles, many of them with very low mileage on them. So it's an opportunity for sure.
I want to say hi to Elizabeth Farkas, who's joining us from New Jersey, Alan Mogi, who is pushing this broadcast into paltalk.com, and I appreciate your help doing that. I just want to tell you before we part ways here, Jonathan Weinberg, anecdotally, a friend of mine who is very active on Facebook and is a terrific writer and talks about her life and what she observes around her all the time, and we all get a chuckle out of her writing. She was driving down the road, this was in Michigan, and she was passing a parking lot. She looked over at the business and she saw that it was filled with cars, and she said, "What the heck is the matter with these people? I don't know whether this is a shopping center or what, but we shouldn't be congregating these many people in one place. What a bunch of idiots." And she swung around again. Knowing her, she was probably going to give a few people a piece of her mind. And then she saw, oh, it's an auto rental place. She had no idea. And that's basically what you're talking about, Jonathan. They can't, normally the lot is empty, or there are 2 or 3 cars or 10 or 20 cars. Now there may be 100, 200 cars on the lot.
Yeah, they don't know what to do with them. There was a large fire actually down in Florida recently, where they basically were stacking these rental cars in a field, and I guess the grass was sort of dry in the field, and when they were parking them there, some of these engines were still hot, and they parked them all pretty close together. There was something like 750 cars there, and one of them sparked a fire, and basically that resulted in hundreds of cars being burned. It was in a way a blessing in disguise for the rental car companies, assuming that they were properly insured, because it's that many less cars they have to sell. But I've seen pictures in Hawaii of literally just sugarcane fields that are just filled with cars. And these would typically be cars that, vacationers are driving around the islands, and they just don't know what to do with them all. And that's resulting in prices that, we've seen prices of $4 a day on a rental car. We've seen prices of $20 a week. And this is in Hawaii, peak season, where typically you're looking at $70, $80 a day in some cases. In many cases, what we're seeing right now is that the taxes and fees are actually more than the base rental charges, which is just crazy. I've been in this business for over 10 years, and I've never seen anything like it in all my time.
Yeah, just before we part again, I want to say thanks to Tim Hart, who has joined us, who's an Elizabeth, New Jersey police officer. Thank you for your service. Those guys and gals in Elizabeth are putting their lives on the line every day, not just because of the crime rate, but because of the coronavirus. It's a hot spot, and it's very difficult. And I don't know if I'd want to be a cop today, Tim, because you don't know whether you really want to approach people, and you're forced to as a police officer. So God bless all of you. Jonathan Weinberg, how can people hook up with AutoSlash?
Just come to our website, AutoSlash.com. Head right to our site, and you can enter a quote if you have an upcoming rental. If you've already got a rental car booked, just click on the tab on our site that says Track a Rental, and we'll basically go out and we'll try to find you a better deal. And even if we can't find you a lower price today, we'll keep checking every single day, so you'll be certain that you're getting the best deal between the time that you book and the time that you pick up the car.
Well, I got to tell you, my audience, that a friend of mine told me about AutoSlash. I'm a believer. Everybody who knows me knows if I can save $1 or $2, I'm going to do it. And you've helped me do that on several occasions. And I appreciate your company, actually, and what you're doing for me. Jonathan Weinberg, thanks for joining us today on Facebook Live, on paltalk.com, and on YouTube. And as I say to everyone at the end of our little discussions every day, please stay safe and peace out.
Thanks, Gary. It's a pleasure being